Good morning. Happy Tuesday. And welcome to episode number 47, the ugly Christmas sweater edition of the Still City Insider podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jeremy Hritz, alongside Mr. Jim Wexell. Jim, how are you this beautiful morning?
I'm good. It's back in the playoff hunt, isn't it?
Oh, whoa,
Christmas Eve,
playoffs.
the Christmas Eve game might mean something
Wow.
other than, yeah, 8:30 Christmas Eve, baby.
Yeah.
Forget about family and loved ones. You're working football, pal.
It's going to be rocking. It's going to be rocking. But the Steelers, hey, they stack. They're stacking. They're stacking those wins. Their first two consecutive game winning streak of the season. They defeat the Falcons 19-16. A lot of good there. We're going to talk about all that here today. And really, the running game continues to drive this team forward. Kenny Pickett continues to develop. Minka Fitzpatrick comes up with a big play. Where do you want to start, Jim?
But the offensive line, man. I mean, what will we say? Much criticized, oft criticized, much laughed at,
The often maligned.
off maligned.
Off
There we
maligned.
go. The off maligned offensive line is playing well. There's some big holes, and frankly, the running backs look good, but they could look better.
Yeah.
I think they're missing holes, still slipping, still sliding around. Najee ran hard, but I really like what the offensive line did. I don't know who the key elements are, but not bad.
Yeah, and I know we talked last week about Harris finally looking like he's getting healthy. He played angry on Sunday, and I don't think he's ever going to be that breakaway speed back. That's just not who he is. But man, when it looks like he's down, he can generate additional yardage, and he's got a violent stiff arm.
Yeah, I mean, he's big back. He better do that because he's not breaking anything, right?
No, no.
Now, Pat Fryermuth is still bigger than him, and he's breaking stuff.
Yes, and Pat recorded the biggest explosive offensive play for the Steelers this season, over 50 yards. Pat, and I remember you saying this. This was 2 Augusts ago that he's going to be the guy that people are talking about in a couple years from that draft class. But Freiermuth is having a great season.
Man, I wasn't the first one. Remember on draft day, Bruce Arians called Ben Roethlisberger and said, "You got Heath Miller now." But Bruce Arians is the guy that wanted Deontay Johnson really bad too.
He could have him. He could take him. Although Arians, he's not coaching now, is he?
I'll take him. Let's unretire him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But you're right. The tight ends played well, especially Freiermuth. It seems like that connection between Pat and Kenny is for real. I know that when I look at this receiving core, it's always been a strength of the Steelers. And right now with Deontay Johnson, whatever he's going through in terms of the drops, George Pickens, very, very upset this past game. But outside of that, it's Steven Sims and Gunnar Olszewski. That's not really a great wide receiving core. If it wasn't for Pat Freiermuth.
Well, that was part of the reason they let Claypool go. It's not just Freiermuth, it's Connor Hayward, it's Derek Watt, it's Zach Gentry. So the tight end group, pretty good. And more 12 personnel helps the running game. So yeah, I hear you on Steven Sims. I'm almost tempted to want to see more Gunner in the slot, but I'm wondering why that has never come to fruition. He always looks so good in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Sims, yeah, and Deontay. Let me just give Deontay an excuse. He was being shadowed by one of the best corners in the NFL, AJ Terrell. And Pickett's being taught to go to the one-on-one, and they game plan for Deontay. Now, I don't know if Pickens was having trouble getting open while being bracketed. That's what the plan was, bracket the other guy, one-on-one with the one guy. It doesn't always mean that they think Deontay's the best guy, but because you're putting two on the other guy. Now, Pickens, yeah, you'd like to see him get more, right? Maybe this was a test. Maybe this was something he had to go through. Maybe they're going to see if he's going to A/B it every game, if he's going to be like that. Right now, you can certainly understand his frustration,
Mhm.
and you can certainly understand Pickens going to the one-on-one matchup all the time. But you want to hope that that was just kind of some kind of a test, some kind of rite of passage for Pickens.
Yeah.
That now you've displayed your frustration. We've all yelled at you. We've talked about teamwork to you. Cam Hayward even came over and talked to you a little bit. The ghost of Ironhead probably came down and talked to him a little bit too. But, okay, he's paid his dues. He wasn't too bad. He kept his mouth shut after the game. They did win. He has to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
They were leading when he was throwing his fits. Don't become AB. But yeah, he needs the ball more.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself and ahead of this season, but I guess just in talking about that wide receiving group that Kenny Pickett has to throw to, wide receiver has to be an area of focus in the draft. I'm not saying first round or second round. We know the history of the team drafting wide receivers, but he's throwing to a rookie in Pickens. Whatever's going on with Deontay, I know he was matched up with a good corner, but it has to be a priority. And I think the other piece too is a lot of people are, maybe not a lot, but some people are giving Pickett flack for maybe not putting up more gaudy statistics, but look at who he's throwing to. So I just wanted to mention that. At least that's my assessment on that wide receiver group right now.
Yeah, well, I'm not too concerned about it. I don't need them to be luxuriating Kenny Pickens with all these weapons. He's got enough. He has a lot of weapons. Pick up a guy in free agency, Miles Boykin, maybe. A couple years ago, if you'd have told me Miles Boykin would be rotting as a number 4 receiver on the Steelers bench, I would say, man, they must have a really good number 3.
Yeah.
And maybe I missed on Miles Boykin coming out. I thought he does a lot of good things on the football field as a special teamer for sure, as a run blocking wide receiver for sure.
Yeah.
There are other priorities, and hopefully the offensive line continues to improve, and they don't have to be one of those priorities.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be real nice. And if Jaylen Warren continues, then that doesn't have to be a priority. Benny Snell's there, McFarland's there, so focus on defense, get that shutdown corner.
Yeah,
things like that, and defensive linemen.
Yep.
Maybe inside linebackers, and maybe strong safety.
And it's a big list. You're asking Santa for a lot there. So you mentioned
I'm just trying to make a point. Some of those positions I'm stretching on. Yeah.
You mentioned 2 players that I think we need to give some love to. That's Derek Watt. I think the stat that was given during the broadcast is that he's a perfect 5 for 5 on 3rd and 4th and 1s situations this year.
Yeah.
And,
it looks like Matt Cannon and Mike Tomlin are watching our podcast.
I'm telling you.
No more shotgun on 3rd and a half. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
And they didn't. And they gave it to Derek Watt. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was great. And then I also mentioned Connor Hayward. Wow, that touchdown pass, the throw and the reception, a thing of beauty. And then the backstory to go along with that. Connor and Cam went to visit the gravesite of their father prior to that game, and how eerily similar that touchdown reception looked to Ironhead's first touchdown reception.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, Connor, man, you talk about great hands. I still think TJ Watt has the best hands on the team. And Connor Hayward might be second. And you notice that in spring and summer, when you watch practice, how you don't hear anything when he catches the ball. It's just everything else. Miles Boykin's a little different. You hear that clang. I'm teasing. You know what I mean? It's just a whisper. And he's got great hands. So strange size for a tight end. He's a unique piece, and that was beautiful because I covered Ironhead. I remember there was a game, and I wrote about it, this game, but I couldn't find the stat. It was a 6-3 Pitt win over West Virginia, and it was the dullest game in the history that I ever covered football. But, well, there was a Latrobe Dairy game that was 3-0 high school game. But the 6-3 Pitt And I could have swore Ironhead carried 37 times, and I ripped Mike Godfrey for not giving it to him more. You know, I couldn't find the number of carries, and so I actually had to watch the last quarter of that game, and I really remembered how boring it was. But man, Ironhead kept getting the ball and kept getting the ball. Not enough. He only had 116 yards. I couldn't find the number of carries. Nobody mentioned it in the broadcast. And at the end of the year, I had to look up records for carries, and all they had was Ironhead set the record that season. He still holds the pit record, 387 carries that season.
Wow.
10 games, 11 games, 387 carries.
Jeez.
No wonder the poor dude died early, died young. So anyway, I covered Ironhead closely. I loved Ironhead. And to have the sons of Ironhead on this team, that we should start some kind of Netflix episodes, the sons of Ironhead.
Yeah. Man, we come up with some $1 million ideas in the show, Jim. Jeez.
Well, you're the one you came up with the idea of actually throwing it to one of the sons of Ironhead. So kudos to you. You know what I loved about that touchdown catch? Right away, I don't know how he could be sure he was in bounds and the catch was ruled a touchdown, but right away he got up and did a little, pointed to God, pointed to the heavens, and then started celebrating. I mean, that was his first one. I would have been like, am I in? I'd have looked at the ref. Are you sure I'm in? Did I catch it? And I'd have looked for celebrations and then looked to the heavens and the ghost of my dad. Yeah.
It was a smooth play. And the thing I want to say here is just, Derek Watt, Connor Hayward, Pat Freiermuth. It's all these little, I don't want to say little, but like unsung, maybe not really bright, sparkly players. And then you have that backfield. You got Benny Snell, Jalen Warren, but all these guys that maybe aren't great that are just coming together and are making plays.
That's good. That's good for the future. Those are ancillary parts that need.
Ooh, ancillary.
Yeah, that's the word you were looking for, brother.
Reminds me of the Bill Shakespeare story in your book about Ernest Hemingway. Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Let me throw that in there. Amazon's having trouble with my Polamalu book. I mean, I ship them, and they tell me they received them, but they still says 0 available. Buy the book from my site. It's only $20. Amazon's $32. We have a little higher shipping, and you can get my on the clock book there too, and I can sign inscriptions. So go to jimwexell.com. Get this done before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where were we? Ancillary parts.
Ancillary.
You don't really have to.
Aligned.
Yeah, you don't have to draft those pieces. You don't have to. You can get the ancillary pieces you need on defense now.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I'm not sure what they need on defense. And I know we're excited about the win over the Falcons and Colts, and they're both mediocre. But they're both on the road. They're both around a Monday night game. They're both playing for the playoffs. They had better playoff chances than the Steelers probably do now.
Yeah.
And so the Steelers were better motivated, and their ancillary parts are coming around. And guys like Larry Ogunjobi, you think you need a defensive tackle next to Cam, but Ogunjobi makes some of the best highlight plays every week.
Yeah.
That he crushed Cordero Patterson. Didn't look like anybody could handle Cordero Patterson. It was like drag him down by the ankles, and get lucky to hold him down.
Yeah.
But man, Ogunjobi just crushed him, and
he did.
I don't know why this guy drifts from team to team. I like him. I'd love to see them re-sign him.
Yeah. The one thing I will give credit to the Falcons, they have a solid rushing attack, and I don't know why they just didn't pound the first half.
Well, the Steelers talked them out of it. They lined up with the nose tackle. They went old school. They went base, and that's how you're taught. You stack the box. We're going to throw on you, and guess what? We talked you into doing something you don't do very well.
Yeah, thank God.
So the second half was strange because the Steelers had a 10-point lead, and thereby thought, well, they'll have to throw to catch up. Let's go with our nickel. And the Falcons just gashed them on the ground.
Yeah.
And so the Steelers rushed their nose tackle back out. And guess what? He started getting blocked. And they were running against the nose tackle too.
Yeah.
So that was the fun part of the game. And it's nice to see run games coming back in vogue against these defenses that are built on hybrids anymore. To, the passing era, you needed to draft Devin Bush with the 10th pick of the draft because he's smaller, but he's faster. Well, guess what? It's coming around. Those hybrids are getting blocked.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, I love it. I love the return to the just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. It's a thing of beauty, and I hope they continue that model here over these next 5 games. And speaking of running the ball, Baltimore comes into town this weekend. Now, I know that Lamar Jackson, it sounds like he's not going to play. Harbaugh came out and said that he's more than likely not going to be available. So it's, I think, Tyler Huntley, I think is his name, another mobile quarterback. But this is going to be a team that's more than likely going to repeat the rushing attack approach that Atlanta had. How do you envision this game playing out? And if they can get the 6 wins, if they can get this one from Baltimore, we're having a different conversation next week.
Oh yeah, well, the whole bandwagon will be on our backs by then. I mean, just trying to carry a couple members from our site right now. Until everybody piles on at 6 and 7. But Tyler Huntley's not bad. I know he didn't play well in his only appearance against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh won. But I've seen him play well. You think there's a huge drop off from Lamar Jackson, but from what I remember of Tyler Huntley, no, he's not bad. And yes, they'll play the same kind of offense, and they'll probably look and see what Atlanta did wrong by not challenging the Steelers' base. They won't be talked out of it. So, yeah, the Steelers do play well against the Lamar Jackson Ravens and whomever is his backup. So this lines up really well for the Steelers, especially as they're hitting their groove a little bit. Now, the one concern I have, Kenny Pickett's coming off 2 good games in domes. And everybody says, about those small hands thing with the bad weather, everybody said, oh, he played at Pitt. He knows bad weather. I don't know that he's played in December.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So now he's going to be out of a dome. Now we're going to see what the bad weather in Kenny Pickett's hands and the gloves, and we'll see. Everybody's forgotten about that criticism of him at draft time. So now we're going to take a look. Hope it's keep going to the tight ends. I know you want to get an air circus in here. You want draft receivers in the first 3 rounds.
No, I just say you
tight ends. Get rid of the ancillary pieces. They only suit you when you're in a good mood.
I mean, Kenny can't succeed with those off-maligned, ancillary pieces and Sims and Olszewski.
You really expanded your vocabulary this morning, mister.
I'm edified. I'm reading on the clock. I'm learning some new words.
Edification. I don't think I used edification in that book, but nice one.
Oh my. Well, the good thing is they're playing a meaningful game. I think the fan base is going to be excited about this Baltimore game. They get this one, they're going to be fired up for Carolina. Then it's Oakland, then it's Baltimore, and then they'll close out against the Browns. So there's 5 games to go, and 9 and 8 looks like can Tomlin do it? Can he pull it out?
Hey man, I just want to go over 7.5. I don't think I need to go into that too much with some of you guys that have been paying attention.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Wins over the over under was 7.5, and I've been okay because I also have Arizona under 8.5. Mm-hmm. They're 4-8. They need to win out. So I've been rationalizing the Steelers losing. Get the draft pick. Arizona's going to cover me, but it's starting to look a little baby. Hey, you said the fan base will be fired up. Atlanta was 5-7, half game out of first place, and the Steelers fans took over their stadium.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be football country. Well, it's college. It's college.
Yeah,
it's a college guy, as Jerry Glanville would say. These college guys down there. So the Steelers took over that stadium. I don't think anyone's going to take over Acrisure Stadium this week.
No.
It's going to be a 5-7 team. It's raising hopes in the city, and they're going to come out and they're going to root hard. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Raising hopes.
Christmas Eve game working from 8:30 to 1:30.
Man,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah. Yeah. See, you got your family. What are you gonna do? You gonna watch football when your family wants
Oh, the
your
kids
attention and
kids
your
will be in
love?
bed. Kids will be in bed. They got my kids are young, man. They got that early
It's 7
bedtime.
o'clock. Get these kids in bed
That's
now.
right. Daddy's got work. Raising hope and hopefully raising hell this weekend in Pittsburgh, 1 p.m. versus the Ravens. Exciting times in Steelers Nation. If you haven't checked out On the Clock, ordered your book yet, make sure you do that. We have that linked in the show notes. It's Jim's new book. It's great. I just started reading it. I got my own personalized copy to the best Steelers podcast in the world. Thanks for that, Jim.
Did I write that?
I think you did. It looks like you're
I was the best podcaster.
All right, I'm 1B. You're 1A. All right, you're the GOAT.
No, if I wrote it, I meant it.
Oh, I appreciate that. I also want to take a quick moment just to recognize an affiliate partnership that we have with a company called Real Life Trading. I've talked to you guys about how I left behind my job as a high school principal to become a full-time day trader. And I'm not saying you need to do anything like that. However, Real Life Trading can teach you what you need to learn about day trading, swing trading to make extra cash flow. If you have some debt you need to pay off, if you want to purchase assets, or if you just want to go on vacation, Real Life Trading provides free online education. Click the link in the show notes. Check it out. It's a great partnership, great company, and we're grateful for their partnership. Check out Jim's work on the Still City Insider. Give him a follow at Jim Wexell on Twitter. Check out my work at thestillstudy.com. Give me a follow at Still Studying. Jim, let's beat those rat birds.
All right, man. Take care. See you next week, brother.
All right, sounds good. Take care.